him. I mean, it's very blatant that he's very jealous of Michael, or anybody that succeeds in that matter in the family.
My other sister. I have 3 sisters. Also, I'd like to thank all my brothers who I love very dearly, including Jermaine.
When Michael became very successful, Jermaine was very hurt by it, and he didn't like it.
Janet Jackson is back with some exclusive tea on the Jackson clan, and this time, she's going off about how her big brother Jermaine betrayed Michael. Apparently, Jermaine was always jealous of Michael, and he felt that as Michael's big brother, he was supposed to be the most famous and successful. So he allegedly tried to sabotage Michael's career multiple times. Even after Michael died, he didn't stop. Jermaine was allegedly only concerned about Michael's money, and he tried to pressure their mother, Catherine, to give up part of Michael's estate. But that's not all. There have also been reports that Jermaine is some sort of creep who lacks boundaries and gets off on making other people uncomfortable. The Jackson family is full of surprises, but this one is truly a discovery. And trust me, it's messier than you can imagine, so let's get into it.
That's ridiculous. Who has not had success in my family? We were the Jackson 5. Every song Michael sung on, I sung on. We helped build what's going on right now. It's not about that.
Every family has their fair share of drama, but when you have a family full of highly talented people who went on to become wildly successful together and individually, you have a different dynamic. And with the Jackson clan, there is no end to the drama. Sure, they have the usual fight among siblings, jealousy, love, and friendship. But the Jackson kids basically had to grow up in front of the entire world. They're music royalty. When you have that kind of context, everything is heightened. Feuds become more intense, and betrayal cuts deeper. And this is why Jermaine Jackson never got along with his brother Michael. Born in 1954, Jermaine Jackson is the 4th child of Joe and Catherine Jackson. On the other hand, Michael was born in 1958 as the 8th child, putting just a 4-year gap between them. Both brothers would later form the Jackson 5 with their other brothers, Jackie, Tito, and Marlon. While growing up, there was fierce competition among the siblings. Their father, Joe, was very strict, especially with the older boys. As Joe and Catherine were musically gifted, they encouraged their kids to pursue music. The gag was that they didn't need too much encouragement because they were all super talented singers and performers from a young age. In 1964, Joe formed a band of his sons, Jackie, Tito, and Jermaine, called the Jackson Brothers. After a few years of honing their skills through performing at local talent shows, Joe expanded the group to include Marlon and Michael and changed their name to the Jackson 5. Fast forward to 1968, and Joe finally landed his boys their first major record deal with Motown Records. At the time, Motown was already a hit-making machine that had launched stars like the Supremes, Stevie Wonder, and the Temptations. So, this was a huge win for the Jacksons. Within the next few years, their careers hit insane heights. All the years of polishing their skills paid off, and within months, they became international sensations. Their first 4 singles all hit #1, a record-breaking achievement. They were suddenly plastered everywhere. TV shows, magazines, lunchboxes, posters. Everyone was talking about them. However, it wasn't long before certain problems started showing their ugly faces. Because the brothers were so young when they landed their deal with Motown, they didn't realize they were being pushed into what would today be called a salve deal. Motown had an iron grip on everything related to them, from their appearance to their artistic choices. They were not given the creative freedom to make the kind of music they would enjoy. Instead, everything they put out had to go through a rigorous selection process where anything that wasn't guaranteed to be a hit was tossed into the bin. To Motown, they weren't artists with the freedom to create what they wanted. They were assets in the company's portfolio and had to be shined and polished to perfection, with little to no room for mistakes. On top of all that, the pay that ended up in their bank accounts was nothing compared to the effort they put in. They also didn't own their records, so any royalties earned from their music and performance were going straight to Motown's pockets. The Jackson 5 were generating millions for every album. Their shows were sold out, and they had a loyal fan base ready to drop their coins for anything the brothers did. Basically, everything they touched turned to gold. However, the arrangement was super exploitative and only benefited their label bosses. And don't even get me started on their royalty rates. The brothers only got 2.8% of whatever profits they made. So, for every $1 million they brought, they had about $28,000. And that was before taxes, paying for costume and other operational costs, paying their team, and then splitting the check 5 ways. Imagine each brother getting just a few $1,000s despite headlining multiple sold-out shows worldwide and selling millions of records. It wasn't adding up. Eventually, the excitement of their initial success wore off, and as the boys grew older, they began to understand that they were being worked to death and paid a fraction of the cost. Now, while all this was going on, they were also developing themselves artistically. Jermaine was the first lead singer in the Jackson 5 before he was later joined by Michael.
See what you just said? Of course. Every time you guys go on tour, you always make me first in line, and this, back me up on this, Denzel. I'm first in line because you know it, Jermaine, you always say this is the last tour. Isn't that true? Haven't you heard that before? The brothers are not going to tour again.
No, see, Michael says that.
Oh, blame it on Michael.
Of course, we all know Michael's star power could instantly overshadow anyone who shared a stage with him. Jermaine and the others were super talented, but Michael, he was in a league of his own. Michael wasn't just a musician. He put his entire body and soul into each performance, trapping the audience and commanding their attention. He stood out even when he was part of a group of 5. While most of Michael's siblings were comfortable enough in their talents not to see Michael as a threat, it wasn't the same for others. In particular, Jermaine allegedly grew green with envy every time he saw Michael shine on stage. So, it didn't take long for tensions to start brewing among the brothers. They seemed like the perfect quintet on stage. But behind the scenes, Jermaine was beginning to feel like his brother was overshadowing him. In fact, their sister, LaToya, who saw all the drama go down behind the scenes, would always confirm that Jermaine was jealous of Michael and anyone else who was successful in the family. But when he was asked, Jermaine denied it.
As I think you know, on this program last September, your sister LaToya said,
Jermaine is definitely jealous of him. I mean, it's very blatant that he's very jealous of Michael, or anybody that succeeds in that matter in the family.
That's ridiculous. Who has not had success in my family? We were the Jackson 5. Every song Michael sung on, I sung on. We helped build what's going on right now. It's not about that. It's about family, Brian. That's the most important thing here.
how would you characterize your relationship with him, Jermaine, with Mike?
Well, we've spoken since all this has happened, and we're fine now.
By this time, Jermaine had already launched his solo career. His most successful hit in the early 1970s was his cover of the doo-wop song, Daddy's Home. Meanwhile, Motown saw how good Michael was and knew that he could become their next golden goose. So, they launched his solo career in 1971 with his hot single, Got to Be There. As they say, the rest is history.
The Jackson 5 is what gave Michael and Janet the platform to do what they did. And the Jackson 5, to this day, there's no other act in the history of the business that was unknown and came out with 4 #1 records in a row, knocked the Beatles out of the #1 spot twice, and never had a Grammy.
By 1975, when their contract with Motown expired, the Jackson 5 announced that they were parting ways with the label. Motown had shaped them into the world-class superstars they were, but the label was also robbing them blind. They decided to move to Epic Records, which offered them 20% royalties compared to the 2.8% they were getting from Motown. But get this, Jermaine decided that he was not going to leave Motown. This felt like a betrayal to his brothers because they were supposed to be in this together. After everything they'd gone through, it seemed crazy not to want better opportunities. At first, it was believed that Jermaine chose not to leave because he had just married Hazel Gordy, daughter of Motown founder Berry Gordy. However, it quickly became clear that Jermaine just didn't want to be under the same umbrella as Michael anymore.
Definitely jealous of him. I mean, it's very blatant that he's very jealous of Michael, or anybody that succeeds in that matter in the family.
Allegedly, he felt he could shine better if he was under a different management from Michael, because he had previously believed that Michael was blocking him from success. He also reportedly secretly wished the group would crumble without him. This was a really hurtful experience for his brothers, and it would become one of Jermaine's first of many betrayals. After Jermaine stepped down from the group, their brother Randy, the youngest of the boys, stepped up and took his place. Randy fit in perfectly, and he quickly became an important part of the group. However, Jermaine proved to be a Caesar again when he snuck behind Randy's back and started an affair with his wife. Randy had started dating a woman named Alejandra Owaziaza in the mid-80s. Although they had a fairly large age gap, their relationship was solid and they had 2 children together, a daughter named Genevieve, born in 1989, and a son named Stephen, born in 1992. However, Randy and Alejandra's relationship quickly turned sour, partly because Randy struggled with being a present and responsible father to his children. At some point, while Randy was still in a relationship with Alejandra, he started dating another woman named Eliza Shaffey. Although he never married Alejandra, Randy didn't take long before tying the knot with Eliza in 1989. Not long after that, he had a daughter with Eliza named Stevana. Mind you, he was still dating Alejandra and was reportedly putting his hands on her. Eventually, Alejandra picked herself up and ended things with Randy. But what happened next shocked many people. Jermaine had had his eyes on Alejandra for a long time. So, the moment he saw that the coast was clear, he swooped in and started dating her.
I remember when we got married and we told Mrs. Jackson, I went into her room and told her with Jermaine on the phone. He was in Africa at that time. It was very difficult for her. Jermaine told me that Michael had called him at that time and told him, "Are you in love with her?" And he said, "Yes, I'm really in love with her." He goes, "Then congratulations."
Randy went crazy when he found out about the affair. He felt like it was the biggest betrayal one could face from a brother. Jermaine could have gone after any other woman, and he chose his brother's baby mama. Little did he know that he was in for a lot more shock. In 1995, Jermaine officially tied the knot with Alejandra, making Randy's kids part of his household. To make everything even more complicated, Alejandra and Jermaine proceeded to have 2 kids together. For whatever reason, Jermaine decided he would no longer take care of Randy's kids, even though they were now under his household. This decision resulted in a serious legal battle where Alejandra sued Randy. Randy didn't want to pay child support, but was later ordered to. The tension eventually affected Jermaine and Alejandra's relationship, leading to their split in 2004.
Say, well, do you know when people want money, that's what happens. It's not about the love of the kid, it's about money.
That's what it all comes down to, right?
What it all comes down to.
Same with all the Michael estate.
What's the latest with her living in the compound? What's the latest with her living in the compound? Is she getting evicted?
21 years for free. Cost the compound $60,000 a month. You tell me what she owes.
21 years for free?
Yes, 21 years for free.
She's still living there?
Yes.
Through all this drama, Janet watched her older siblings become each other's enemies, and it broke her heart. Janet had always looked up to her older siblings since she was a kid. As the last born, she had to watch her brothers grow up on the big stage. But she wasn't just seeing them from a distance like the rest of the world was. She was smack in the middle of it, and as the youngest, she could pick up on certain cues that her older siblings didn't necessarily notice.
Ladies and gentlemen, our sisters, Rebe, Janet, and Latoya. Okay, Janet, is there anything you want to do? Janet. You're gonna have to wait till the song is over.
Make it fast, Michael.
She was still a toddler when her brothers started chasing their music careers. So she always knew them as her big brothers, but also as celebrities who people would queue for hours just to see.
Hey, Randy. Yeah. Listen to what they're playing. I know that. Sonny and Cher used to do that. Right. This is my chance. I'll be Cher and you be Sonny. Okay?
That's my part. Go home, Jan. Why don't you go home? Go home. Not until I sing my part.
What's your name?
Janet.
You sing with the group?
In the Jackson 5 family, everybody works.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Sonny and Cher.
Janet saw all the backstage drama among her brothers and noticed when things started to go south between Jermaine and Michael. See, while she was close with all her siblings, she could never really form that special sibling bond with any of them. Well, except Michael. Janet and Michael's relationship was truly something special. They shared an incredible bond that only grew stronger as the years passed, even as they both grew into superstardom. Whenever Janet talks about her last interactions with Michael, she gets really emotional and her voice softens.
The last time you saw Michael was around your birthday.
2 days before my birthday.
Did you tell him you loved him?
Yeah, it was the last thing we said to one another.
It was?
Yeah. And said, I love you. He says, I love you too, Dunk.
So, it didn't come as a surprise that she was the one who was most affected when Michael passed away. But what broke Janet's heart even more was the drama that unfolded after Michael's death.
I couldn't believe it. It just didn't ring true to me. It felt like a dream or... I'm sorry, Robin. I know, because I keep saying the same thing. I couldn't believe, it's still to this day, it's still so difficult for me to believe. It's you have to accept what is, but it's hard.
Their mother, Catherine, had sued AEG for hiring a doctor who allegedly gave Michael a toxic concoction of drugs that unalived him. Meanwhile, Michael had left his estate to his kids and his mother. His siblings got nothing, which allegedly fueled even more animosity between them, as they had expected to receive some inheritance from Michael. They were all too grief-stricken to fight it in court initially, but Jermaine later led his siblings in writing and signing a letter, claiming that Michael's will was fake, and they wanted the administrators of his estate to be fired. The court eventually ruled that the will was valid, granting Michael's mother, Catherine, full custody of his kids. This also meant she was the guardian of their inheritance. However, this wasn't enough for Jermaine. He would allegedly pick fights with Catherine to challenge her ability to look after Michael's kids, just so she wouldn't have control of his money anymore. Eventually, when it became clear that Jermaine wouldn't be able to manipulate the family to side with him, he backed off. Fast forward to 2023, and Jermaine's creepy past finally came to light. A woman named Rita Barrett filed a lawsuit against Jermaine, accusing him of SAing her in a 1988 incident. Rita was a music contractor who had met Jermaine while working with Berry Gordy, who had a close relationship with her husband, Ben Barrett. According to the lawsuit, Jermaine had allegedly showed up at her house uninvited, forced himself inside, and used force and violence against her. She claimed she was scared for her life after the incident, accusing him of SA, battery, and negligence. According to reports, Rita might not have been Jermaine's only victim because he was allegedly known for being creepy around women. When you connect the dots, it becomes obvious why Jermaine is the least like Jackson's sibling. From trying to sabotage Michael's career to trying to take his money when he passed away, Jermaine has done it all. But what are your thoughts on the family drama? Do you think Jermaine allowed things to go too far? Sound off in the comments below. And as always, check out this next video.